Hey, it's Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group of Premier Plus Realty and Cheryl Stokes.
New American Funding.
Now, Cheryl, this is weird today. We're together.
I know, we're always in a different place.
and it's, for those of you watching it a different day, today we're recording it on a Saturday because
We're busy.
the market is moving. So we want to make sure that we get right to it and give you some information. So what the heck is happening with foreclosures? I mean, that's the question that the news is out there telling everyone,
A lot of
right?
people have questions, yes.
And as a result, the news is saying it's up 49%.
Right, but is it really?
I don't know, Cheryl. Is it? So this was August of 2021, 83.48, right?
And
August
August of 2020. But remember, in August of 2020, what were we in? We were in pandemic mode
Right.
with people doing forbearances. So foreclosure rates went down from the norm, from
Right.
pre-pandemic. So that explains the low number in August of 2020.
So let's just take a peek at this and see, what was it in 19?
28,000 for that month. So that's the thing that people have to remember.
Yeah.
You're going to hear all these scare tactics that foreclosures are up, and they are up month over month, but we are 60% below, let me say it again, 60% below pre-pandemic rates. We are not in a bubble. The world is not going to end. We are well below where we normally are.
And prices are not going to come down because we have this glut of foreclosures. Now, there are some foreclosures out there. And if you're in that situation, you know, our hearts go out to you. We can help you through that because prices have gone up. Just take a quick minute. I meant a quick minute to take a peek.
Next slide.
And so talk about this, Cheryl.
Right. So this one is showing August at 1.71. My numbers reflect 1.6 million currently in forbearance. Again, that isn't a historic low.
Yeah.
So while we had lots of forbearances, those are going away. People are coming out of it. And there's a very small percentage of people who aren't going to make it out of forbearance. And we are looking at foreclosures right now of 0.2%. And guys, that's the lowest in 20 years.
Wow.
20 years.
Wow.
So there are happening, and we do want to help those people.
Right.
But the expectation that everything is going to fall apart it's just not going to happen.
No, the sky is not falling. Henny
Correct.
Penny can go back into Chicken Little. Because, Cheryl, we've been talking about this slide
For months.
months, if not a year or two. And this is what you're really talking about. I mean, go ahead and share that.
Exactly. So as you can see by this slide, 42.9% of the people who went into forbearance during the pandemic, we're still in it, but the height of it, they've already been paid back in full.
Yeah.
39.8% have worked out a repayment plan, and 17.3% were still in trouble. But again, remember, that is a very low rate to what ordinarily would have been happening in the market pre-pandemic.
Right. And with housing increases, personally, one of my sellers, before pandemic, we were tried to go to a short sale, couldn't get the money. As we're coming through the pandemic, now she had enough that she could close and get out from underneath that property.
Right. So in some cases, although it's a painful situation to be in, the current market can actually help those people move on and kind of change up what has been happening in their lives in the past and start fresh.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And we're here to help. If you're in this situation, Cheryl and I can help you through that. But get some counsel of someone that you trust that can walk you through that so that you know what your choices are. But for the rest of us, the sky is not falling. Foreclosures are not going to flood the market like they did back in
Correct.
10, 11, 12.
Yeah, 8 through 12.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the case. And nobody's projecting that. In actuality, Goldman Sachs came out this week and predicted another 16% rise in home values for 2022.
Wow.
So it's not going to change. There's not going to be a downturn.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about buying, Cheryl, when should you do that?
Now.
Today.
Right now. This is probably the best opportunity for you because we do have the small business owners came out with a slightly more negative viewpoint long term due to inflation, frankly. And even though the Fed is thinking that inflation is temporary, we are going to see it over the next few months until that pipeline gets cleared and that sort of thing. So with inflation, the Fed's talking a little bit about tapering. We're going to see our rates rise a little bit. So right now, they're the lowest that they're going to be for the foreseeable future. So really, right now, this month, now is the time to go ahead and buy while the rates are still low.
Today, she said it today. Let's go back to forbearance because I think this slide is really kind of talks, we're continuing on the forbearance. Go ahead.
Yes, this slide tells you that 7% of the people with deferred, what am I trying to say? Deferred payments, they're in forbearance. Sorry, I lost myself. It's Saturday morning. But 7% of the people have less than 10% equity. The reason that people are coming out of forbearance, why there are fewer foreclosures, is the percentage of people who hold greater than 10% equity is higher than it used to be. Yeah. So more people have more equity. They're building that wealth through their properties, and those properties are not being let go. They're not going into foreclosure or forbearance.
Because they have too much equity.
Right.
So they can. So in essence, it's gone up a little bit because of deferred, but still, really low. And those people that have more than 10%. Cheryl, this is to your point.
This is exactly just 130,000 of the active forbearance plans have less than 10% equity. So what you're seeing is the ones with less than 10% equity might be the ones that are in a little bit more trouble.
Right.
But if you have more than 10% equity, you're probably going to get out of this just fine. And that is being shown in the statistics.
Right.
Only 130,000. That's not very many have less than 10%.
No, that's actually across the U.S. I don't know how many households we have with mortgages. That'd be a good number to have. Maybe next time we'll have that number. So again, let's continue down this path.
Same conversation. Look at 2017, look at 2018, look at 2019, 2020, and now 2021. We are at a historic low for active foreclosures.
Right. And even if that average comes back in, we're still going to be short.
We're still going to be short. And again, is that going to cause a crash? These people with the slight increase?
Yeah.
No, because those foreclosures are going to serve to fill the shortfall in inventory. So there's such a high demand.
Yes.
And again, we understand the predicament that those people are in, but those foreclosures are not going to cause a crash in the market. They're going to help fulfill a shortage that we're seeing, which is also not going to go away.
Right, right. So if you're thinking about selling, let's do it now. Is that subliminal, Cheryl? If you're thinking about selling, you should do it now. So let's talk about some interest rates, okay? This is your gig, girl. Tell them what you got.
Okay, I'm just going to quote Allie Wolf here. The single biggest risk to housing, which is rising mortgage rates, is a real possibility in the next year, which I just said. And that could bring prices down. Further, other economic, financial, and confidence challenges, we just talked about small business owners, could also result in a drop or flattening of home prices, even with solid buyers in place. But a drop or flattening in home prices is a far cry from the crash we saw during the Great Recession. What we're going to see is steady increase and a leveling off, not a downturn.
Which is interesting that what Goldman Sachs says is going to increase by 16% in the next year. In our market, we went up 40, 50% or a little bit more here in Southwest Florida, but
16% is a good, steady, nice rate of increase on your value.
Yeah, I'd like 10% minimum. So, 16 is better than the 10. All right, let's see where we go to next. Mortgage rates. This is crazy.
Again, you saw the fall. We've all seen the fall. We have had historically low rates.
Yeah.
They are going up, but take a look. They're still low.
Right.
They're still low. Even with the slight increases that we've had in the last few weeks, this is still the time to buy. I'm old enough to remember 18%. We're in the
Me too.
threes, really, in reality for most people. It's a great time to buy. It's definitely a better value than rent.
Yeah. Now, let's just hit on that a hot minute. Refi, right?
Absolutely. Even refinancing, it's a great time to refinance, even if the rates have ticked up a little bit, because refinancing is a financial tool.
Yeah.
You're not just refinancing all the time to change rates. You now have new equity in the homes that you have, and maybe you're refinancing at the same rate or slightly higher, but you're using that equity to change your life.
Yeah.
Maybe you have student loans, maybe you have construction that you'd like to do on your home.
Business debt.
Business,
Yeah.
there's just all kinds of things that you can do with the equity that you have in your home, and you're now changing it to a reasonable rate that can carry you out of whatever situation you're in.
Love that. Love that. Very different again from what was happening in the Great Recession.
Correct.
So, Cheryl, this is what's talking about mortgage rate projections. You feel the same? Keeping Current Matters that we love came up with these from.
These are the same projections that we're getting from other areas as well.
Yeah.
We're going to get some slight increases. We're expecting them over time. They're going to start in fourth quarter.
Right.
It's not going to be catastrophic, but it is increasing. So why not take advantage of where we're at now?
Without a doubt. I think that buy now moment was buy now, buy now, buy now. Because what is the craziness with this? I mean, look at the home loan amount.
Exactly. This really explains your buying power as the rates rise. So let's look at 3% for a $320,000 loan. That's about a midpoint here.
Mm-hmm.
The principal and interest is $13.49. If it goes to 4, a full percentage, you're at $15.28. So it does increase. Now, again, let's not panic about that.
Right.
You're still going to qualify at 4%, but if you can take advantage of the rates now, why not? Why not save that, $180 a month over time?
Or look at the difference in what you could maybe qualify for. Today, you could qualify for a $400,000 loan
Correct.
at 2.79. And, if it rises to 4%, you're really only qualifying for a $340,000.
Exactly. So that is another reason to really look at this, because it will change what you can buy. And as the values go up,
Right.
you kind of need that lower rate.
Without a doubt. Now, Cheryl, we had a conversation about rents. Talk about what your feedback was on that.
Exactly. So I got some feedback this week about rents currently here in our area. And there are actual bidding wars on rent right now.
It's crazy.
You talk about that with homes and purchasing, but you don't really talk about that with rent. In our area, rental properties are so scarce that there are multiple rental offers, and these rates are skyrocketing. Multiple thousands of dollars for a small property or a condo. And when you look at that number, if you're spending $3,500 a month on rent, you definitely should be buying a property. You're going to save an immense amount per month, and you're going to be building equity and wealth for yourself.
Which we just had this situation exactly happen in our own office. Our social media director, marketing manager, I'm not sure exactly what title we're calling her, but her name is Brittany. Brittany lost out in a rental war. It was a bidding war for a property. And we were having a conversation at lunch, and I said, have you checked into seeing about buying? And she's like, no, I don't think I qualify. I said, well, talk to a great person and see if you qualify, because let me tell you, why throw all that money, just like Cheryl said, away at rent?
Right. And lo and behold, she does qualify.
Yeah. So now she's out there looking for a place that she's not going to get kicked out of, because that's the other thing. People are seeing the value of what they can get in their home, and the homeowners are selling. We've had several homeowners do that, and the renters are like, I don't have a place to go. We just don't, and even if they don't have a lot of money saved, Cheryl, they can still get into a place.
There are plenty of opportunities to buy. It is a misnomer that you have to have 20% down to buy a home. It's a misnomer that you have that to be a first-time home buyer. You really have to consult someone, whomever it is that you trust, for lending on what your multiple options are, because there's no one way to get it done. There are always different ways, and every person is unique and an individual in how they can move forward with a property.
And we have, just in the Bartos Group, this is how much we feel the market's going to be stronger in the future. 5 of our staff and agents are first-time home buyers, not Brittany yet, but 5 others have got into the market in the last year to own their own piece of paradise. So we do what we say, right? Or we say what we do. We walk the talk. Anyway, interest rates are going to go up. But so the question is the market cooling?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, Cheryl. So go ahead and read what Odetta Cushy says.
It's not the white hot market from earlier in the year, and it's not the 2020 market benefiting from a wave of pent up demand.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, this is still a hot housing market. Purchase apps slow, modestly week over week, but remain above 2019 levels, and I can confirm that personally, the strongest in a decade.
That really says a lot. Now, why is that? The reason that is because home sales are very difficult to forecast right now. And what Cheryl was just saying is the blue line is what was happening in 19, right? This is across, it's nationwide, not in our market. This is what happened. We all saw it, the pandemic. We saw that hockey stick, Nike swoosh, I don't know what you wanted to call it. It wasn't a W, which people were talking about, but it was down and then came back up and went over 19. And interesting enough, Cheryl, I've had clients say, well, this was all fueled by the pandemic and people, wanting to get out of where they were. It's true. But when you look at what's happening this year, and you add in I don't know what you want to call that, the little slow curve, I guess. The green line is what's happening in home sales this year in 2021. But let's look at that as it compares to what's happening in 20. And then more importantly, what happened in 19.
Right. So we're still above 2019, and you see that little trend upwards.
Yeah.
I think we had that pent-up demand and the craziness, but the fact is we still have low inventory. People still want to buy. There are still people who are first-time home buyers. There are still people who want to buy their dream vacation home.
Yeah.
There are still people who want to downsize. The demand is not going to go away.
No. And what we saw in our market, which is a normal market for us, Cheryl, was summer. July, August, and September, people wanted to move about. They were sick and tired. They've been caught up in all that hot mess. And then the Delta variant came out, and the ones that were moving, but they were kind of freaked out about moving, kind of stopped and went back home. We're starting to come out of that now. And properties that were sitting a little bit longer are starting to sell. So it's an interesting time that we're in, which should be what Lawrence Young said.
In just the last year, increasing home prices have translated into a substantial wealth gain of $45,000 for a typical homeowner. These gains are expected to moderate to around $10,000 to $20,000 over the next year. So that's just what we were talking about. There was huge gain last year, but we're expecting a 16% increase in the upcoming year. So you're building familial wealth, you're building personal wealth through home ownership, which down the line, if you need, you can utilize through a refinance.
Right.
Or just pass that along to your family as time goes by.
Which is awesome. Which is totally awesome. All right, so let's see what's happening in our area. I mean, that's where we are. So this is a slide that I brought up last couple months, I think. Year over year, Naples Board of Realtor market data. So it comes straight out of that, and it's for the Naples area. New listings down.
27.9%.
Yep. Average close price up.
14.6%.
Homes for sale.
74.5%.
Crazy. So just to put this in perspective on my hot little iPad here, I went back in time. So in a couple markets, so Naples across, the whole area, 1347 homes for sale in September of 21. Now let's put that in perspective to February of 19, which we're, pre-pandemic, we're at the top of when we would list, 8,189 homes. So
it's like 25%.
that is like, that is just that's crazy to see that we don't even have that inventory. And on a smaller market, Marco Island, which is where we're sitting today, in September of 21, 200, that's it. And in February of 19, 926. Crazy, crazy. You look at Fort Myers. Fort Myers only has 744 homes for sale in all of Fort Myers. In 19, 4,014.
That's a big difference.
Right? And then our largest market which is Cape Coral, 807 homes for sale today, 3,266 homes for sale.
So the trend is the same across the board.
Crazy, crazy. So as we start to think, didn't stop us. This is exactly homes for sale. What I was talking about when you look at these high marks coming all the way down and what those numbers are, which were the numbers I quoted, just incredible. And we're now trying to find, as we have been, Cheryl, for the last 3 months, trying to find homes that someone might sell for a buyer that wants to buy. And so if you're getting calls from us and our staff, please be kind to them because that's their job. Their job is to call you because they have some buyer that says, please find me a home. Please. And so they're calling you, so be kind to them if you're watching this. If they call, you'll go, Mary said you'd be calling if you haven't heard from them already. So the other thing that's kind of interesting is, again, we've shown this slide before, historic sellers market, low inventory, low interest rates, and home buyers are heading to Florida because of every reason, tax. You can think of a whole lot of political reasons that people talk about.
But it's just really a great place to live.
It's a great place to live.
It's beautiful.
Because we're going to stay in our lane.
Yes.
But taxes, you can't beat that, and the weather.
Exactly. The weather is terrific.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day today. It's a beautiful day every day. Really.
It is. So I don't know, Cheryl. I think we covered it. We got it all done today. I'm not sure how long it took us, but I would say until November, which is just a few weeks away, we look forward to seeing you here in Paradise, checking out what we got to sell.
Absolutely.
Ciao.